Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and today I'm playing Phantom Leader, the Vietnam Air War solitaire strategy game. It's a game of a whole series of games called the Air Leader series by DVG, Dan Fersen Games. And it's actually one of the older games of this series. There's also Hornet Leader and U-Boat Leader, and now they're coming Apache Leader and Israeli Defense Leaders, and they have similar systems. Well, most of them actually. And well, it's obviously a war game, which is something new in my video series. Normally I don't enjoy war games very much. I'm not so interested in this historical background of the battles and things like that, and I'm also not so interested in the weapons stuff and in historical weapons or whatever. So but this game is really great. This game captures me because the mechanisms are simply really amazing, and they work perfect solitaire. So yeah, I'm gonna set the game now. Okay, this game doesn't need a lot of setup action. We have different campaigns. This is the campaign table of Rolling Thunder of the US Air Force. There are 6 campaigns, and 3 campaigns are for the US Air Force, the other 3 for the Navy. You can decide if you want to play the campaign short, medium or long. That shows how many missions you're gonna fly and how many special operation points you have. Special operation points allow you, well, to use some special options or special weapons, which can be very useful during the game. These are the weapons which you are allowed to use during this campaign. There are different weapons depending on which year you are playing. Here we have a few stats: reconnaissance, intelligence, and politics. I will explain later what that means. These red dots here are your different targets. This is a map of Vietnam, and it's divided into different sectors, which you can see here. And here we have the, well, let's say here we have the tactical display, and this is basically the board where the action is. There's going to be a target card in the middle, and there's all the fighting here. And here we have the card display sheet, we have the event cards, the target cards, and a sequence of play. We have different counters, some air-to-ground weapons, air-to-air weapons, with this yellow marker here on the corner. We have here stress markers, the white numbers, damage markers, these numbers, and these are our pilots. And when you start the game, you have a certain number of pilots. And during the game, these pilots are gonna get more experience, and you can decide which pilot has to fly it, which mission, and you got to manage their stress. So no strong pilot can fly every mission, because in this way they would accumulate too much stress, which makes them after a while unfit, so that they can't fly anymore. So you have some experience degrees here: newbie, green, average, skilled, and veteran. And during the campaign, if the pilots fly successful missions, they gain experience points. And then if they have the number of experience points written here on the upper right corner, in this case 5, here 6, here 9, then you can promote these pilots, and they go from green here to average, for example. And that gives them better stats. Or here from average to skilled. I'm not going to choose my pilots, I'm going to select them randomly. There is a special rule for random squadron selection that gives me 4 additional special operation points, because it makes the game a little harder. So that's what I'm going to do now. When you choose your pilots, you have to take the pilots of the different. When you choose your starting pilots, you have to consider their experience levels. And here for a medium campaign, it says you're allowed to take 1 newbie pilot, 2 green, 5 average, 1 skilled, and 1 veteran pilot. So I did this now randomly, and the newbie pilot is Pigeon. He's flying a Thunder Chief F-105, and we have green pilots Surfer. He's flying a F-100 Super Saber. And Lefty and a Thunder Chief. And as you can see here, this is the year when the airplane was used, and we're now here in the year 67, so we can use that plane. In some later campaigns, it's no longer possible to fly these older planes, for example, so that's a reason why I use this campaign here, to show you some different planes. And the average pilots is here Papa on a Phantom 2 F4. We have Tats on a Super Saber. Scorpio, also flying a Phantom. There is Vapor in an F-105 Wild Weasel. And here we got Boomer, also flying a Phantom. And then we got a skilled pilot. This is Stash and a Thunder Chief. And finally our veteran pilot Monger in a Phantom. Okay, so now I placed my pilots here and I took all the chits for the pilots and placed them next to their cards. Then we have a player log here, and we're going to write down how many experience points the pilots achieved and if we could destroy the targets. And down here we can write down our special operation points and the victory points and so on. And then the Phantom is basically the best airplane, or at least that's what the designers seem to think. So if you take another airplane, you get special operation points. And you got 3 numbers, and the last number is for the long campaign. And actually now I found out I made an error here. I looked at the medium campaign squadron size, but I'm playing a long campaign, so I can take 6 average and 2 skilled pilots. So and we got 2 more pilots now. We got Irish, our average pilot, in a Thunder Chief. And we got Top Tall, skilled pilot, in a Starfighter. Okay. So now we gain additional operation points. We simply add all these points here. The Thunder Chief gives us 3 additional points. The Starfighter gives us 9 additional points. And so on. And then we'll end up with a certain number of starting special operation points. Okay, believe it or not, we gain 36 special operation points because of the airplanes we use. Then we use this random squadron selection that gives us 6 additional points, so we are at 42. I then use this high stress attack suppressions rule, and then I have to pay 3 for that, which brings me down to 29. And I use the damaging targets rule, and I have to pay 3 again, so I'm then at 36. Actually, yeah. I think so. Okay, so now with the basic number of 24, I now got about 60 starting points. That's starting special operation points. This is pretty crazy actually. Okay, so let's start with the first day of the campaign. We have here the sequence of play. We start with the pre-flight phase. First we draw target cards. And depending on the reconnaissance level we are, this is now 2. We are allowed to draw 2 target cards. And we got the major bridge and the rail yard. You can see the number up here on the upper left, and this is the number of the dot here that shows where the targets are. So in this case we got 25 and 28, so both targets are here. And that shows that we have to pay a weight point penalty. This is this one here of 2, because it's quite far away from where we start the flight. And we get a stress of 3 when we go there, because we have to cross the enemy lines, which is pretty hard for the pilots to do. Then we have this politics values here and there, and we have here a politics track. We are allowed to attack now targets which have a politics of 5 or less. When we are attacking a target, then we have to move the politics counter that many spaces to the right, which is written here. So if we attack a target with politics 5, we had to move that counter 5 to the left, which is quite a lot. But these are pretty high value targets, so that's the reasons why they have these high politic values. And underneath this airplane symbol here, this shows how many airplanes we are allowed to use at a maximum. So we don't have to fly with all 7, but normally it makes sense to use them all. This shows how many victory points we gain if we destroy the targets, and this is how the tracks here on the campaign sheet change. So if we destroy the rail yard, nothing happens with the reconnaissance, but the intelligence will move 2, which is good for us. And here we gain 4 victory points, the reconnaissance moves 1, the intelligence moves 3, which is even better. And here we see how we have to place the enemy forces. Basic difference is we have to do less hits here. That's good. It doesn't give that much victory points, but on the other hand we get some reconnaissance points. So we have to see what we are going to use here. There's also some special rules here. For example, that the major bridge says difficult target, subtract 2 from air to ground rolls against the target. That's hard. And here we got this overkill rule, inflict 17 plus hits on the target to move the politics counter 2 to the left. So actually, I think I'm going to risk this. I think I'm going to take the rail yard, and if we're doing good, then we might be able to do this, to accomplish this overkill, and then the politics counter won't go that far to the right. So in the next turn we could still attack some high value targets. Otherwise the politics counter would be here, so we had to move it here 4, but if we can do the overkill, we just have it to move it to here, to this space here, which would be good. The other target card is discarded, and it might come back later. Maybe we might get another chance to destroy this, but right now we place here the rail yard in the middle of the board, and we move the politics counter 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here. Okay. Then determine sites present. The card shows here sites in the approach zones. There are these 4 approach zones: north approach, east approach, south and west approach. In each approach zone we have 2 sites, and in the central zone we have 5 sites. So now we're going to draw these sites randomly from the cup, and well, we'll see what happens. We have some infantry up there. They're normally not very strong. I go clockwise here. Oops. We have that side, which isn't bad. This one here, SA2. Another SA2. This is a ZU-23-2, whatever that means. As I said, I'm not so interested in these weapon things. That's a S60. In the rulebook you find a little text on every weapon which explains a little about it. We have another X60 here and an SA2. Okay. And then we have 5 sites in the center area. So here we go. Okay, great. So that's a very very high security target with lots of sites. Normally it's not that hard defended, but we are allowed to use 7 planes, which is really a lot. So this is going to be a tough battle, I think. Basically I'm going to explain now these site markers. In the top, the 3 numbers here, they show when the site hits. If you roll a 2 or less, there is no hit at all. If you roll a So if it's less than the first number, then nothing at all happens. If it's the first number, so if it's between 2 to 5, then the pilot would gain 1 stress. If it's 6 or 7, the airplane would be damaged, and if it's 8 or higher, the airplane would be destroyed. The white number in the black circle shows the range. So this weapon has a range of 1. So if it's in the center here, it can attack all the adjacent spaces, so basically all the approach spaces here. And this H means that it attacks every plane which flies in high altitude, and the L shows that it attacks the planes which fly in low altitude. So basically they attack every plane in the range of 1. Some attack only planes in low altitude like this one, others only planes in high altitude like this one. So every site has its own values. Every site is different. They can all take only 1 damage. If they are hit once, they are destroyed. This S means it's a soft site, so some weapons are more effective against soft sites. So if you use these weapons, it's good when you attack these sites. And this is, for example, a site which uses radar, and there are weapons which are extremely effective against these kind of sites. Okay, I think that's basically all about the sites. And then we have to assign the pilots. Okay, so now I assigned the pilots and I already armed the aircraft. And I'm going to explain to you now something about the pilots. I already told you here this is the experience level of the pilot and the number of experience point he needs to gain to get promoted. Then here you have this C means coolness. This is important to show how he can recover from stress. Then this is stress, which he will get simply if he flies a mission, or if there is a special situation like his plane is damaged, for example, or just things like that, then he might gain more stress. And you can see, as long as his stress is between 0 to 4, he has these stats. If his stress comes up to 5 to 7, he's shaken, and then his stats are worse. And if it would be more than 7, then he's unfit and he can't fly anymore. The speed means, well, he can be fast or slow. Fast means that he can shoot before the defending sites shoot. Slow means that he can shoot after the sites shoot. Here we have some air-to-air modifiers and some air-to-ground modifiers. In this case, it's +0 if he's okay. If he's shaken, it's -2. Down here, we have the maximum weight that the aircraft can carry. This is A3 here. And you can see here on the weapons, on the upper left side, you have the weight number. This is 1, sometimes it can be 2. So they can carry 3 of these rockets. And here you have which kind of weapons the aircraft can carry. The AIM-9, this is this weapon, so it's no problem, it can carry 3 of these rockets. Here this aircraft, the Phantom, can carry a lot more different weapons, and it can carry altogether 6 weight points. Okay. So what I'm going to do before I start, I'm going to do the tanker priority. So I'm going to refuel my planes during the mission. That costs me some additional special operation points depending on how many planes take part in this mission. And because of this, I only use 6 planes. I decided not to use all the 7 planes because that allows me to save 1 special operation point. So that costs me now 4 points. And then, because this is a very well, for example, it's a very high value target, it gives me 5 victory points. And because it's very strong defended, I decided to use a lot of smart weapons here. These weapons are expensive, but well, this mission is some exception, I guess. So I decided to give him smart weapons, the GBU-10, and he also takes the GBU-10 and the GBU-12. The good thing about these weapons is that you can shoot them from a high altitude. You don't have to go down to low altitude. And that means that these sights here, that one, this one, and also this one, they all can't shoot at you, also this one, because they only shoot on targets that are at low altitude. So the only danger comes basically from these two sides, from these two sides, and from that side. And then there might be some bandits, some enemy airplanes, but we don't know right now how many this might be. It's gonna be something between, I don't know, something between 0 and maybe 6 in the maximum, but this is not very likely the case. So this guy here, too tall, he's gonna try to shoot the bandits, and also this guy, Tats, he's also gonna try to shoot the bandits. The other ones here, Monger. Let me explain. The plan is to enter the whole area from the western side, because here in the east there are these radar guided missile defensive systems. So I'm gonna try to enter from here, and there, Vapor, he's actually a fast pilot, so he's allowed to fire before this radar weapon can fire. He's gonna use one of his special anti-radar weapon systems, the AGM-45. He's the only plane, the Wild Weasel is the only plane that is allowed to carry these weapons. He's gonna use one or maybe actually 2 of them, I'm not sure about that, to destroy this site. And then, in the same turn, Stash is gonna use one of these smart bombs here, AGM-12, to destroy one of these 2 sites here. These are sites with a range of 1. They fire at high and low targets, so as long as we're here, they can't reach us, but they're gonna be painful if we enter this area here. So we better try to destroy them, and the smart weapons should be good for that. Then my idea is simply to stay one more turn out here, and because I'm at a high altitude, no one can fire at me then, and then I'm gonna try to destroy the second site of these 2 dangerous sites here in the center area. And again, Stash will try to do this with his second AGM-12. Then we can enter this area, and it's not so dangerous anymore. The only two sites which might be able to shoot at us will be these sites then. But I'm gonna try to destroy one of them, which with another one of these AGM-45 rockets. And well, the other one, I have to be lucky. I mean, three of my planes have these ECM ports, which might allow me to cancel the attack, and the other ones have to try to evade them. But I hope that shouldn't be too dangerous then. So then we should have made it until the center, and it should be possible for us then to destroy the last of these two targets with another AGM-45 weapon. And then we're gonna drop our bombs. And well, we have to be a little lucky to do this. I mean, we have 3 of these smart bombs. They're pretty expensive, but well, if I can roll a 4 for every bomb, I think that should be possible. Then it might be possible for me to do 9 damage with him, and then it's him, and if I assume I roll a 4 for these 2 bombs, then that would give me 6 additional damage, so I would be at 15, and maybe I can do 4 damage with him. So if I'm lucky, I could do about 20 damage, and that should be more than enough. I need 17 or higher to do the overkill. So I think there is a good chance that we can do this if not too many bad things happen, actually. Yeah. Okay, so that's the plan. Let's hope for the best. Okay, I actually changed the decision. I decided to take my 7th allowed plane with me. I decided to take Surfer with me simply to give him some experience points. And he just takes some rockets and some bombs with him, just in case we draw a bad event card, for example, and we might have to suppress some attacks. So I think that is worth this one special operations point, that we have to pay extra for the tanker priority when we take this guy with us. I used 13 special operation points in this mission. That's a lot. That's really a lot. But I have 60 points, and this is an extraordinary mission. I think this might be actually one of the toughest missions out there. So I think it's okay to use a lot of points. It's not that important in this case. I think that might be worth it.